Money that does not change hands is nothing but paper. You're welcome to section 13 of chapter 7, Surah Al-Araf, that's the heights. Namshi, let's go. Let's go. أولم أولم يهدي للذين يرثون الأرض من بعد أهلها أن لو نشاء أنه نشاء أس أن لو نشاء أسيتهم بذنوبهم. Pardon me. To those who inherit the earth in succession, to its previous in inverted commas, to its previous possessors, is not a guiding lesson in brackets, that if we so willed, we could punish them too. No, I haven't gotten there yet. أَلَمْ يَهْدِي لِلَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْأَرْضَ أو لم يهدي للذين يرثون الأرض من بعد أهلها أن لو نشاء أسيتهم بعد أن لو يشاء أسيتهم بذنوبهم. To those who inherit the earth in succession, we could punish them too for their sins. For their sin, بذنوبهم. That's why we stop. ونبأ على قلوبهم فهم لا يسمعون. For their sins, and seal up their hearts. ونبأ على قلوبهم, and seal up their hearts. فهم لا يسمعون, so that they could not hear. Here, viewers, you can see the heart doesn't hear. But I think this heart is hardened such that they pretend not to hear. So, in other words, if you do say something that the heart doesn't want, the listener doesn't seem to hear or pretends not to hear, except it feels the desire of the heart. Let's see if there is any commentary to read. Yes, there is. No. Yes, there is. 69. The stories, pardon me, viewers, I'm not in a very good mood, maybe. The stories which have been related should give a warning to present and future generations which have inherited the land, the power or the experience of the past. To present and future generations which have inherited the land, the power or the experience of the past. They should know that if they fall into the same sins, they will meet with the same fate. When through their contumacy, their hearts are hardened, they do not listen to the advice that falls on their ears. Yes, so you harden their hearts and they don't hear. So it's not that the hearts will hear, but that's just like I explained before. Okay, let's go to the next ayah. the next verse, which is 101. Tilka, tilka al-qura nakasu alayka min amba'i, min amba'ihim, no, min amba'iha, sorry. Tilka al-qura nakasu alayka min amba'iha. Such were the towns whose story we relate unto thee. We thus in brackets, we thus relate unto thee. Amba'iha, we relate unto thee. ولقد جاءتهم رسولهم بالبينات فما كانوا ليؤمنون بما كذبوا من قبل. Thus were the towns whose story we thus relate unto thee. Full stop. There came indeed to them their messengers with clear signs. With clear signs. Rasulhum min Bainati, clear signs, Bainati, or min Bainati, with clear signs. But they would not believe what they had rejected before. But they would not believe what they rejected before. فَمَا كَانُوا لِيُؤْمِنُوا بِمَا كَذَبُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ. Before, مِنْ قَبْلِ. Okay. كَذَلِكَ نَتْبَعُ الله على قلوبهم على قلوب الكافرين. كذلك نتبع الله على قلوب الكافرين. Sorry, على قلوب الكافرين. Thus doeth God seal up the hearts of those who reject faith. So if you reject faith, you harden your heart, you don't seem to listen to anything. But here it is telling that it is God who has hardened your heart because you don't have faith. You have little faith. Let's go to the commentary. Those who have heard the message and rejected it find it more difficult afterwards to retrace their steps. Evil has blocked the channels of Allah's grace to them. It begins with their breaking their covenant with God. With each step forward, they fall deeper and deeper into mire. They fall deeper and deeper into mire. Mire spelled M-I-R-E. That's the commentary for Ayah sign verse 101. We go to Psalm 102, and then we continue to 102. Yes, let's go to 102 first. وما وجدنا لأكثرهم من أحد. وما وجدنا من أكثرهم من أحد. Simple. Most of them we found not men true to their covenant. Most of them we find not men to their not men true to their covenant. True, T-R-U-E. Wama wajadna, we find not him with many of them min adihim, true to their covenant. Or in modern world, you can say promise, if you like. In modern terms, from person to person relation, we can say promise. Aktiruhum, no. وجدنا أكثرهم لفاسقين. وجدنا أكثرهم لفاسقين. But most of them we found rebellious and disobedient. Fasikin, rebellious and disobedient. We go to, no commentary for that, we go to 103. Now we are going to another personality, another prophet, very important to, very dear to God. Tumma ba'atna min bagdahim, tumma ba'atna min bagdihim Musa bi ayatina ila Fir'aun. Then, after them, we sent Moses with our signs to Pharaoh and his chief, ila Fir'aun wa mala'ihi, to Pharaoh and his chiefs. فَظَلَمُوا biha, to Pharaoh and their chiefs, but they wrongfully rejected them. They wrongly rejected the signs that God sent to Pharaoh through our prophet Moses. فظلموا بها فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المفسدين. فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المفسدين. And he's drawing our minds back. So see what was the end of those who made mischief. He's drawing our minds back to what was the end of Pharaoh and his people and his chiefs and his soldiers and whatnot. But little do we remember that. We've forgotten it. We think that is far, far, far away. God says he can revisit that to any of us. Okay. Of those who made mischief. كيف عاقبة المفسدين. وقال موسى يا فرعون إني رسول من رب العالمين. Moses told Pharaoh, Moses said, "Oh Pharaoh, I am a messenger from the Lord of the worlds." In those days, they didn't know the Lord of the worlds. They knew Pharaoh to be the owner of the world. They knew Pharaoh to be the owner of the world and no one else. They didn't know God. So when Musa was telling him, I'm a messenger sent to you, Pharaoh, from the Lord of the worlds, it meant nothing to Pharaoh. Okay, Abil Alamin. And the commentary says what? Okay, 71. Then 71. This is the commentary. The story of Moses is told in many places in the Quran, with a special lesson in each context. In chapter 2, 49 to 71, the story is an appeal to the Jews from their own scripture and traditions to show their true place in the religious history of mankind and how they forfeited it. Yes, this is a complaint about the Jews. It's there in many commentaries and even in the Quran itself. And how they forfeited it. Here we have an instructive parallelism in that story to the story of Muhammad's mission, dash again, and then dash. How both these men of God had to fight against one, the foreign foe, arrogant, unjust, faithless, and superstitious. And two, and two, against the same class of internal foes, against the same class of internal foe among their own people. Yes. So the external foe may be Pharaoh, who is not among them, and then now the second foe, their own people. Let's see that. The foreign foe, the foreign foe was Pharaoh. No, let me take that again. A foreign foe, arrogant, unjust, faithless, superstitious, and two, against the same class of internal foe among their own people. Yes, both of them won. Both of them won through. Both of them won through. Won, W-O-N. In case I'm not pronouncing it well. Both of them won through. In the case of Moses, the foreign foe was Pharaoh. Okay, in the case of Moses, the foreign foe was Moses and his Egyptians, who boasted of their earlier and superior civilization. Semicolon. In the case of Prophet Muhammad, the foreign foes were the Jews themselves and the Christians of the day. Well, in case of Muhammad, they haven't told us the internal foes. Anyway, and the Christians of his day. Yeah, and the Christians of his day. Moses led his people nearly to the land of promise in spite of rebellions among his own people. Yes. Muhammad succeeded completely in overcoming the resistance of his own people by his own virtues and firmness of character. Yes, now we see. So the foreign people for Muhammad were the Jews and the Christians, and his own people were the Quraysh people, the Arabs themselves. These were the internal foes of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Succeeded completely in overcoming the resistance of his own people by his own virtues and firmness of character, and by the guidance of Allah, or by the guidance of God. Allah and God are synonymous, I've said it before. What was a hope? What was a hope when these Makkah verses were revealed, became an accomplishment before the end of his life and mission on earth? We go to I can't even find it up. I can't even see where I stopped, but I believe I'll find it. Yes, 1071. We go to 105. We go to ayah 105. Yeah, we still on, there is commentary on 104 that we haven't done, and we're going to read now. Here, Pharaoh, Arabic, Fir'aun. Pharaoh, Arabic, Fir'aun. So Pharaoh in Arabic is called Fir'aun. Apparently, they don't know how to call Pharaoh, so everything of their head, they follow their own language, usually. So Pharaoh, into brackets, Fir'aun, is a dynastic title, not the name of any particular king in Egypt. Yes. It has been traced to the ancient hieroglyphic words Perda, which means the great house. So Pharaoh actually means the great house in Greek, I suppose. The Nun is an infirm letter. It's an infirm letter. Infirm is INFIRM. It's an infirm letter added in the process of Arabization. Who was the Pharaoh in the story of Moses? Yes, this is very important. King Thutmose II, or who, I don't know. If the inscriptions had helped us, we could have answered with some confidence, but unfortunately, the inscriptions failed to. It is probably that it was an early pharaoh of the 18th dynasty, say King Thutmose the First. Say King Thutmose the First, about 1540 BC. That it was an early pharaoh of, about 1580 BC. See Appendix 7. No, see Appendix 4 on Egyptian chronology and Israel, printed at the end of this surah. Viewers, if it's at the end of this surah, we should go to it. We will definitely go to it, God willing. So keep in touch. Okay, now we go to 103. Hakikun ala an la akula ala Allahi illa al-haq, or illa al-haq. Hakikun ala an la akulu ala Allahi illa al-haq, or illa al-haq. One for whom it is right to say nothing but truth about God. Illa al-haq. Kad jitukum bibainatun. Kad jitukum bibainakum. Kad jitukum bibainatin min rabbikum. Fa irsul ma'i baina Israel. Kad jitukum bainatun min rabbikum. Fa irsul ma'i Bani Israel. Send with me the people of Israel. Lord, with clear sun. So let the children of Israel depart along with me. So this is the message that Pharaoh gave, that Moses gave to Moses. So let the children of Israel depart along with me. We leave your Egypt for you and we go to our promised land. Okay. 73. What's the commentary? 73. Notice that Moses, in addressing Pharaoh and the Egyptians, claims his mission to be not from his God, that's from Pharaoh's God, or the people's God, but from your Lord, from Pharaoh's Lord, from the Lord of the worlds. I think the capital then was Thebes of Egypt, a place called Thebes, if I'm right. I think we shall get to that. Not from Pharaoh's God or the people's God, the gods of the Egyptians, but from your Lord, Pharaoh's Lord, and the Lord of the worlds, Rabbil Alameen. And the mission is not to his people only. The mission is not to Pharaoh's people only. I come unto you, Egyptian people, in brackets, from your Lord. They don't know they have a Lord except Pharaoh, like I said before. The spirit of our version, the spirit of our version is entirely different from the spirit of the same story as told in the Old Testament. Can I repeat that? The spirit of our version is entirely different from the spirit of the same story as told in the Old Testament, Exodus chapters 1 to 15. Exodus chapters 1 to 15. In Exodus 3:18, the mission of Moses is expressed to be as from the Lord of the Hebrews. So you see, the Lord of the Hebrews can never be the same as the Lord of Moses and the Lord of the worlds. So the Quran here is saying Rabbil Alameen, Rabbil Alameen, from the Lord of the worlds. And Exodus, it is the same story is said to be from the God of the Hebrews. Hebrews don't have God, or Egyptians, or Russians, or Germans. It's the same God, Lord of the worlds. So you see here the difference between the Quran and the Bible. That's one of the reasons why people who are very versed in the Quran do not believe in certain parts of the Bible. Please, I repeat, certain parts, not all parts. Okay. Lord of the Hebrews, that's in Exodus. Okay. The essence of the whole Islamic story is this. Joseph's suffering, now we come to another personality, another prophet. The essence of the whole Islamic story is this. Joseph's sufferings and good fortune were not merely a story in a romance. A story in a romance. Joseph was a prophet. His sufferings and his subsequent rise to power and position in Egypt were to be a lesson. Were to be a lesson. To the wicked. To the wicked brothers who sold him into slavery. And B, to his people who were stricken with famine and found a welcome in Egypt. And C, to the Egyptians who were arrogant over their high show, over their high show, over their high, sh- no, no, over their high material civilization, yes, over their high material civilization, but had yet to be taught the pure faith of Abraham. Full stop. Israel prospered in Egypt. Yes, Israel prospered in Egypt and stayed there perhaps 2 to 4 centuries. Stayed there perhaps 2 to 4 centuries. Into brackets, Renan. Renan is an historian, if I'm right, or religious historian. Renan allows only 1 century. Full stop, the brackets closed. Times changed, and the racial history of the Egyptians showed its head again, and Israel was oppressed. Full stop. Moses was raised up with the threefold mission again. Moses was raised up with the threefold mission again, and they are A, to learn all the learning of the Egyptians and preach God's truth to them as one who had been brought up among themselves. Now we go to B, the motives. B, to unite and reclaim his own people. And C, to rescue them and lead them to a new world, which was to open out their spiritual horizon and lead them to the Psalms of David and the glories of Solomon. The Psalms of David and the glories of Solomon. Oh, where have I put mine? I think I've left it somewhere. I suppose David and Solomon came after David. Yes. Okay. We go to go to 106. 106. Then Kala in kuntum jetu. Kala in kuntum jeta bi ayatin fa iti biha in kunta min sadikin. If you really come with a sign, show it to me if you are really truthful. Okay, let's see what our elders said. Pharaoh said, if indeed thou hast come with a sign, show it forth. If thou tellest the truth, to mean as Sadiqin, if you are actually among the truthful people. If indeed thou tellest the truth. Let's go to the commentary. 74. 74, yes. The ensuing dialogue shows the psychology on the two sides. That's between one side Pharaoh, the other side Moses. Pharaoh is sitting in his court with his ministers. Court is SCOURT. His court with his ministers and chiefs around him. In their arrogance, they are only amused at the effrontery and apparent revolts of the Israelite leaders, and they rely upon their own superior worldly power, aided by the magic which was a part of the Egyptian religion. Confronting them stand two men, Moses with his mission from God, and his brother Aaron or Harun, who was his lieutenant. No, sorry, not the lieutenant. Who was his lieutenant? Full stop. They are confident not in their own power, but in the mission they had received. The first thing they have to do is to act on the subjective mind of the Egyptians and by methods which, by God's miracle, show that Egyptian magic was nothing before the true power of God. Okay, we go to 107 now. فألقى عصاه فإذ هي ثعبان مبين. فأعصى عصاه فإذا هي ثعبان فألقى عصاه فإذا هي ثعبان. Then Moses threw his rod. Moses in the Baptist Chrome. Then Moses threw his rod, and behold, it was a serpent, plain for all to see. Thobanun mubinun. It was plain for all to see. Let's go to the commentary, 75. The serpent played a large part in Egyptian mythology. The great sun god, Ra, won a great victory. The great sun god, Ra, won a great victory over the serpent. So the god is Ra, R-A, won a great victory over the serpent Apophis, typifying the victory of light over darkness. Many of their gods and goddesses took the forms of snake to impress their foes with terror. Moses' rod as a type of a servant at once appealed to the Egyptian mentality. Full stop. The contempt which the Egyptians had entertained in their minds before was converted into terror. Here was someone who could control the reptile, which their great god Ra himself had such difficulty in overcoming. Full stop. Let's go to 108. Let's go to 108. فنزع يده فنزع يده sorry فنزع يده فإذا هي بيداء للمنذرين فهي بيداء للمنذرين. He drew out his hand and it was white, pure white to onlookers. Let's see what our elders have said. And he drew out his hand, yes, and behold, it was white to all beholders. So Moses drew out his hand like this, and it was white to all present, to all beholders. I think we shall end here, viewers. And that is the end of section 13. When we come back, God willing, we shall go to section 14. And section 14 begins with verse 109, ayah 109, sign 109. Till we meet again, may God bless you all. Please pray for me too. Ila lekai. Bye bye. Au revoir.